The Texas House recently passed Senate Bill 10, a measure requiring all state public schools to display the Ten Commandments in every classroom. When Governor Greg Abbott signs this bill into law, it will go into effect on September 1. Surely folk will have all kinds of issues with this move. But I say post away. Post those Ten Commandments in all the public school classrooms. Hell, the private ones too, while you're at it. But I would just add one caveat. When posting, make sure to add verbiage under each one of those commandments to explain how Texas lawmakers do the Ten Commandments, because they do it different. First off, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Though worshiping Donald Trump as a Messiah figure is not only permissible, from our perspective, it's biblically encouraged. Commandment 2, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images or idols, unless, of course, those graven images are of Donald Trump and they're engraved on Trump-endorsed Bitcoins. And it's cool to make t-shirts and flags with those same graven images. And let's treat the Star-Spangled Banner as a divine idol. And damn to the pits of hell anyone who doesn't stand tall as it rings of freedom, especially that second verse where it endorses slavery. And God forbid anyone dare desecrate the American flag or our MAGA hats. Just because they're both made in China doesn't take away from their idolic power. Thou shalt not take the Lord thy God's name in vain. I mean, hey, we here in Texas see no contradiction in having people in courts of law swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help them God, while we run a justice system where it's better to be guilty and rich than poor and innocent. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy, like our like-minded saints in elected offices in other states. Like y'all remember David Perdue, who in 2016, when he was Georgia's senator, he told his faithful followers to pray for President Obama the words of Psalm 109. Let his days be few, and let another take his office. Let his children be fatherless, and his wife a widow. Let his children be continually vagabonds and beg. Let them seek their bread also out of their desolate places. Texas public school kids, that's the kind of Christians we Texas legislators are, and that's the kind of Christians we want you to be. You know, just so kind and so loving. Honor thy father and thy mother, which is what we Texas lawmakers do daily, voting for laws and policies that reflect the segregated, anti-black world of our parents. Thou shalt not kill unless you're white and stand in your ground. Black people can't stand their ground because they have no ground to stand on. And kids, killing is bad unless the people we define as bad are gathering where they have no business gathering. You know what I mean? Driving while black, shopping while black. Thou shalt not commit adultery, because adultery means being unfaithful to someone you love. So when we deprive you, Texans, of health care, access to education fundings, it's not because we're unfaithful to you, our Texas constituents. It's because we're so faithful to our big money lobbyists. Thou shalt not steal, unless it involves stealing labor by grossly underpaying workers and fighting to keep unions out of Texas. Unless it involves stealing the labor of undocumented immigrants to the tune of billions, yet periodically acting like we don't want any of them illegals around. And unless you're talking about stealing healthcare, educational funding, online access, and other things like that from both urban and rural communities, that ain't stealing, that's capitalism. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, unless thy neighbor is black or brown, disabled, or LGBTQ, or poor. See, when Senator Ted Cruz endorsed the lie that President Obama was planning an armed takeover of Texas, Cruz wasn't lying. He was courageously sharing his truth. So go ahead and demonize DEI, lie on CRT, and do the same thing with wokeness. If our white lies protect us from uncomfortable truths, then it must be God's will. And finally, thou shalt not covet, because to covet means to lust for things that aren't yours. things that belong to someone else. So when we Texas lawmakers fight for darn near free labor from undocumented workers and from U.S. citizens by refusing to raise the minimum wage, we're not lusting after something that's not ours. Hell, everything belongs to us, according to God. People, labor, the environment, everything. No coveting here, just doing God's will, the Texas legislative way.